The final season of Jurassic World Chaos Theory brings us back to the world of dinosaurs and corruption, and its ending provides a definitive conclusion for the Nublar Six. The story picks up where Season 3 ended. Brooklynn, Ben, Darius, and Yaz are going to Biosyn headquarters to end the illegal dinosaur breeding and trade once and for all. Meanwhile, Kenji and Sammy are headed to Biosyn Valley to save Bumpy. The Chaos Theory characters get stuck in the valley along with all the dinosaurs, and they must race to escape before they get killed. This leads to a climactic ending that leaves Ben fighting for his life and the rest of the Nublar Six trying to keep him alive long enough for medics to save them from the valley. How Ben survives in Season 4. Halfway through Season 4, Ben gets attacked by a dinosaur, leaving him mortally wounded. They spend the last half faking out the audience, showing every sign that he's going to die, but he survives until the end. In the narrative, his survival is explained by the other members of the Nublar Six rallying around him. This is symbolic because Ben is the underappreciated backbone of the group who has rallied around other members nonstop. They work hard, tending to his wound and even carrying him when necessary to get him to the medical helicopter. It's an inspiring and hopeful sight to see them work together to save their friend against all odds. That being said, the real reason Ben survived is that he had plot armor. Based on his injury and how long it took to get him medical care, he should have died. I think it was a coward's way out for him to survive. However, his death would have potentially upset younger viewers, so I can understand why they went the hopeful route instead. How the Nublar Six escaped the Biosyn Valley. The Nublar Six have a difficult time escaping the Biosyn Valley, but they manage to get out thanks to a series of events falling into place. Firstly, Dr. Wu gives Ben, Brooklynn, Darius, and Yaz the car to get them across the valley relatively unscathed. They literally run into Kenji and Sammy. They pick them up and continue across to the other outpost to destroy the program's backup, their major goal. The power goes out, but they get it up long enough to request a medic helicopter. Then, the T-Rexes take out the raptors, saving the Nublar Six. They use Gia's car to get to the place where the medics pick them up. Ultimately, all the pieces fell into place, and they got out of the situation relatively okay, minus Ben's wound. This is one of those situations where there's a lot of suspension of disbelief required, but it's worth it because it's extremely entertaining to watch. Why Sammy finally forgives Brooklynn's betrayal. Brooklynn expects Kenji to be the hardest to apologize to and expects he won't forgive her easily. However, it's actually Sammy who is the angriest at Brooklynn for her betrayal. This is likely rooted in the fact that Sammy knows what it's like to betray her friends for the greater good. Sammy did it in Camp Cretaceous to help her family, and Brooklynn was extremely hurt by Sammy's actions. Brooklynn essentially did the same thing, betraying the Nublar Six for the greater good. Of course, Sammy would have the same reaction that Brooklynn did when the situation was reversed. Ultimately, Ben's injury forces them to work together. The direness of the situation allows Sammy to forgive Brooklynn. Sammy is still angry and hurt, and she has every right to be. However, she is also able to put that aside and work to repair the relationship. Who's really behind the assassin dinosaurs? The most shocking reveal in Season 4 is the person who actually started Project Therapod Axis, the program that trained the assassin dinosaurs from past seasons. It wasn't Soyona Santos, the handler, or even Dr. Lewis Dodgson. Instead, Dr. Wu, the OG Jurassic Park character who was brought back in Chaos Theory, started the program. However, unlike the other members of Project Therapod Axis, Dr. Wu had good intentions when it began. He wanted to train the dinosaurs to perform search and rescue at disaster sites, much like humans and dogs do in real life. However, Dr. Lewis Dodgson perverted the original mission, changing their training so they were no longer passive assistance animals. Instead, they would be bred to attack and kill on command, making them the perfect assassins. Ultimately, Wu's hard work unintentionally contributed to the deaths of many, and he spends the entirety of Jurassic World Dominion in Season 4 trying to rectify his mistakes and make the world a better place again. Why Sammy isn't speaking to her family. Throughout all of Jurassic World chaos theory, Sammy Gutierrez isn't speaking to her family, which is a source of distress for her. However, the show doesn't reveal the true reason until the final season. It turns out that Sammy's family decided to go into business with Dr. Lewis Dodgson and Biosyn, despite her warnings. They wanted to grow genetically modified crops on their farm, and he was the means to their end. Sammy knew Biosyn was bad news, but they wouldn't listen. Luckily, in the last scene of the finale, we learn that Sammy is back in contact with her family, and they're working through their issues. Why Brooklynn and Darius don't get together. One of the most surprising parts of the ending is that they leave it open-ended whether Brooklynn and Darius will ever get together. These two are the biggest ship since Camp Cretaceous, and their will they won't they has only become more prominent in chaos theory. Unfortunately, they don't really give a solid answer about their relationship. Darius reveals toward the end of the season that he loves her, but that he doesn't feel as strongly for her as Yaz and Sammy do. However, he also doesn't feel that way about anyone else. It's a bit confusing and has fans interpreting the relationship in two different ways. Some interpret that as confirmation that Darius is aromantic. Others think it is his way of saying that his love for Brooklynn is there, but doesn't feel as intensely. I've watched the scene multiple times, and I cannot definitively interpret it either way. Frankly, I support either interpretation, but they should have written the scene more clearly. Regardless of the meaning of that scene, I think the reason Brooklynn doesn't end up with Darius or Kenji is that it would have distracted from the finale's message about friendship being the key to life. Friendship saved Ben's life. Friendship got them out of the Biosyn Valley. Friendship is at the heart of all things Nublar Six. I think the only reason they let Yaz and Sammy get back together is that they have been an established couple since the original show. The true meaning of the finale. The simplest interpretation of the ending is that friendship is the key to everything. This is the message they hammered home with every narrative decision, and it's what the kids in the audience are most likely to take away from the ending. However, the more adult interpretation of the ending is that we will only survive the bad things if we work together. As Sammy points out, terrible situations are uncontrollable. Brooklynn wasn't the cause of everything awful in Season 4, just like most of us aren't in control of everything bad in our lives. However, just like the Nublar Six, we are stronger together than we could ever be apart. Thanks for watching. If you liked this video, make sure to like and subscribe for more.